They represent our country's more than 4 million registered nurses, and they have other programs too. They give money directly to nurses who, for example, have been infected with coronavirus. Tim Porter O'Grady, who's the foundation's chairman, told us that the outpouring of support from our fellow Americans means so much.
We have been just overwhelmed with the amount of support and encouragement that has come from ordinary citizens and from corporations. Hungry to say thanks, to let nurses know they're there and they are anxious to do something for them.
If you want to help, you can go to two of these sites, nursingworld.org/foundation. That's the American Nurses Association. If you want to reach Lorraine in Staten Island, there it is. Go in your purse for a nurse. Lorraine hopes that idea, going to businesses that have been closed because of the pandemic, buying gift cards, she hopes the idea will spread across the country, saying that basically anybody could do it, but she'd love to hear from folks who certainly want to help, and it is a great thank you. Gift cards for both. Neil?
Yeah, it's got a nice ring to it as well. Eric, thank you very much. Eric, Sean. In the meantime, you heard about how many of us, including the president, including Congress, are looking into the World Health Organization's relationship with China and whether it's healthy or on the up and up. Now, there's a move on the part of the Chinese to say, wait a minute, this is a good relationship, a close relationship, nothing untoward going on here. Let's get the read from Dan Joseph, the China Learning Curve author. So much more. Dan, where do you think this is going? And obviously, the Chinese rushing to whose defense, who rushing to China's defense, amid calls that we're going to defund or try to take money away from the World Health Organization. What do you think this is telling us?
Well, I think we're just at the very beginning of this issue. There's much more to learn, exactly what we need in another point of contention between the U.S. and China. But there it is. We have it. And I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. Not just the WHO and China, but so many countries have been caught off guard for this. Maybe the reaction hasn't been ideal. So to a certain extent, the WHO can say, hey, we just made some mistakes. And they made some big ones. But there's no question that the questions are going to be asked about the political relationship between the WHO and China. Did the WHO just overlook the issue of transparency, or was it somehow politically complicit? We don't know yet. Obviously, some people are alleging the second, and China's trying to defend itself, but we need more information, which I think will come out eventually.
China is still considered a developing country, though, and I'm wondering, getting that kind of treatment gives it all sorts of advantages, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, I've been doing business in China for 25 years. I've seen experienced American global companies make acquisitions in China that they have to write off 9 months later because due diligence is hard in a country where the rule of law is weak and transparency is not common practice. So I could see WHO personnel simply not digging deep enough, not asking enough questions, which raises the issue. Maybe they need new guidelines, new work methods if they're going to really help the world stop the spread of pandemics. But again, and keep in mind, the United States donates a lot more, contributes a lot more to the WHO than China does, but there's other types of political influence, and people are going to be asking those questions. The WHO is going to say, we made honest mistakes. Others are alleging otherwise.
Indeed, they are. Dan Joseph, thank you very, very much. We'll follow that very, very closely, following what you're doing at your home as you're sheltered away there. Tony Little, the fitness personality, and so much more. I bet he wanted me to do this interview on an elliptical, but I chose not to because we're both coming from different locations and he doesn't know. But he has a message for all of you sitting at home. Get up, walk around. He's next.
To be. And that is particularly true for kids who were already struggling. And that is why some education experts are suggesting it may be best to have students at underperforming schools repeat this last year altogether, rather than pushing them ahead into the 3rd or 4th grade that they're not ready for. Why not keep them in the current grade, give them extra help, extra tutoring, extra instruction to help them get caught up? The worst thing that we can do is just pretend that this never happened and try to push ahead and move kids ahead into material that they are not ready for. While holding students back is on the table, most school administrators we have spoken to say they expect a majority of students will move ahead to the next grade as planned.
However, they do caution there is a ever-growing list of concerns about the ripple effects these shutdowns will have and the budgetary consequences that will have as they try to address those shortcomings. All of the costs are going to add up, and they're going to have to find a way to pay for that. Paris?
You know, I know with all the numbers and the stats, we sometimes talk about people like they're not people. But try telling a little 8-year-old who did his or her best that it wasn't enough to get through that school year when some of those school districts have been talking about this already for a month. That is tough to talk about holding kids back. It's a whole new part of the conversation. Garrett Tenney, thank you very much. Well, most of us have seen paper money stapled to the walls of establishments when we're out in them, like bars, grills, that sort of thing. Sometimes it's as a memento or a memento. Well, one Georgia bar owner who had to shut down her bar due to the coronavirus pandemic took down more than $3,700 in cash that was stuck to the walls. And she handed that money over to her now unemployed staff. The gesture went viral online, sparking thousands of dollars in donations and also ideas about what other bar owners could be doing. My next guest has been able to support other service industry workers fresh out of a job. Joining me now is Jennifer Knox, owner of the Sandbar in Tybee Island, Georgia. Jennifer, great to see you. First of all, your reaction to all of the reaction.
Overwhelming. Overwhelmed, totally. But you've got to support your local watering hole. You know, we're all in this together.
You know, this is personal for you too, I understand, because you were a bartender at that very popular establishment, and then you bought it. So when you buy it, you own it, and you feel, because we talked right before this during the commercial break, you feel personally responsible for the musicians and the employees.
These are my people. I got to do whatever it takes to keep them, you know, okay.
What has been some of the feedback from your actual musicians and employees?
I mean, this has been a game changer with the dollars on the walls and the donations that are coming in. My people can eat, they can pay their rent. It's been a complete game changer, and I'm so happy to help.
You know, we're showing some pictures of the cash that you took down. What made you do this? Like, did you just wake up one morning and say, I'm going down to the bar and just going to take the stuff off the wall? Or did you have an epiphany at some point staring at those dollars? I'm curious.
It was an epiphany. We literally locked the doors. We had no music, no TV, nothing. We just sat there and we're like, oh my God, we have money on the walls. We have time on our hands. We've got to get this money down and into the hands of the people that need it now.
Yeah, let's talk about time, because I know you told me that first you were told you'd be down for 2 weeks, then it was a month. What are you looking at right now, and what does that mean for your small business?
It's scary. You know, we were told 2 weeks, then a month, and maybe 2 months, and it changes everything. People are waiting for their stimulus checks and unemployment, and right now we have nothing. And this was supposed to be our kickoff to the season. People are freaking out right now, and I'm just trying to let everyone know that we're going to be okay. I'm going to do whatever it takes to keep my people okay. And with the donations that have been coming in, you know, I can even help further than my people. Hopefully more people on the island that need it, because there's a lot of people need it.
Well, I know that this is stressful, and you know we're taking a look at some video in there, and you're saying you can even help those beyond your establishment. That's what small business owners do. As you described it to me, it's a family where you live and you pop up your business. Jennifer Knox, Thank you very much for your time, for sharing your big heart with all of us across America. Good to see you. The Daily Briefing starts right after this commercial break. Thanks for watching.
You know what? I think people like to get out and get a workout in. You know, I used to go to the gym as well once in a while, you know, just to be out of the house. And I'm sure people are going to want to get out of the house sooner or later here after 30 days. But, you know, there's so many things that you can do in a house to get exercise. I got couch fit, chair fit, floor fit, dance fit, you know, anything that you can do. So, yeah.
Right. So what do? If you don't have this expensive equipment, I'm sorry, Tony, you don't have that kind of expensive equipment, but you want to use a chair or a couch. Oh, I can remember that in the days when I was a kid, and my mother used to watch Jack LaLanne, and they'd be lifting couches and chairs.
He's awesome.
What do you do?
Yeah, man, you can do sit-ups by putting your legs up over the couch and getting a great ab workout. You can do full body squats on a couch or a chair or anything. And again, you can always remember these little simple things. Weights, right? Set of dumbbells and you can work every part of your body. So, you don't actually need all that exercise equipment and all the big stuff. It's nice to have, especially in the cardio area, like your elliptical.
There you go. There you go. Now, what about just walking? I see a lot of people, depending on the community, they're walking outside, they're getting some fresh air. What do you think of that?
I think it's good for everybody to get out. I think it's good for the mind. You always feel better after a workout, always. So I think you got to get out and do something. I've been riding a bike with my son down the street early in the mornings, and it's probably one of the greatest experiences that I've been missing for a long time.
Yeah, there is something to that. A lot of people, though, get depressed when they're indoors, whether they're exercising or not. They might find escapes, like you say, and I get the endorphin thing, and it jazz you, gets you sort of, souped up when you exercise or you go outside. But a lot of them are getting tired of this, and it's wearing on them. What do you recommend?
Well, you know what? I'm tired. I'm tired of being here for a long time because I'm a hyper guy. So I just recommend you stay the course. It's better for all of us if everyone stays the course. They stay in the homes and they work out, they get in shape. Thank the Lord above that we actually have time at home for once. And when this is all over with, go for it. Go for your dreams.
For a lot of people who might have medical and other issues and then they're forced at home, how do you advise their fitness routine and what to do?
Well, that's a hard one because you're talking about medical issues, which I'm no doctor. I'm not an exercise guy. So I would just say simply they got to do something. Listen, you got to move, period, at the end. Whether it's slow moving, fast moving, medium moving, you got to move. Your body's meant to move. Your circulation, your flexibility, your muscle strength, everything about your body you have to take care of, no matter what adversity you have.
Do you ever find a lot of people now are ordering in and all that? We just had a fellow who's delivering groceries to homes. There's a way, and this is free advice to you, Tony, that you can combine the food and exercise thing. Like, did you know that instead of curling weights, you could be curling Subway sandwiches? It's something I came up with. I want to pass it along to you as an idea. Are you open to that?
I am, but are we using a foot long or a 6-inch?
Foot long. I mean, make it worth your while. In each arm.
Yeah, you had 250, 300 calories.
There we go.
Yeah, no,
yeah, say it. So, this is free advice. If you want to market it, there you go. All right, keep well, my friend. You're a godsend to a lot of people who love your enthusiasm and get it right.
You're an adversity victory guy, and everybody knows it. So I'm proud of you.
Oh, back at you, my friend. You're the best. Where is that Subway sandwich, by the way, Andrew? Is that in here? Tony Little, thank you very, very much. He is the original genuine article, as is this fellow, Charles Payne. Hey, Charles.
Hey, Neil, thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. I'm Charles Payne, and this is Making Money and Breaking right now. Stocks are selling off after one of the best weeks ever for the market. In fact, a week few experts saw coming. It was a classic V-shaped retracement. So what happens now? And President Trump defined in a tweet about whose decision it is to reopen our economy, saying it is the decision of the president for many good reasons. As the country moves forward on plans to reopen, I'll ask my guests what they think the magic formula is to get the gears of commerce turning once again. And speaking of reopening, we're moments away from a hearing from New York Governor Andrew Cuomo and the heads of neighboring states on their plan to reopen the region. Plus, last week was our America Works Together virtual town hall where we answered your questions. Well, today we answer more, including responses from the administration. All that and so much more on Making Money. Well, stocks are turning lower today as the market enters earnings season, but we already expect bottom line disasters, right? And very little guidance. So just how much bad news is already baked into this market, and how should investors handicap this market that Goldman Sachs now says has in fact hit a bottom? Let's bring in Capital Wealth Planning Chief Strategist Jeff Sott, along with Gibbs Wealth Management CIO and President Aaron Gibbs. Aaron, let me start with you. Goldman Sachs, David Kostin's all over the place, but he's saying enough has been done between a stimulus from the government and maybe whatever else. But now Goldman says the bottom has been put in.
Well, I think, they're still saying we can test the lows again. It's not that we're just going to go up. So I'm still cautiously optimistic. As I've mentioned before, I think right now, we even talk about investors being risk on, and we look at the valuations in the market, and they're really quite high. We're looking at, 18 times, which is way above the 3-year average. And I still fear that I'm concerned that the fear of investors hasn't been completely fleshed out. And if we see some really negative news about maybe the economy opens later than investors are expecting, we see some really negative guidance, we see those unemployment numbers shoot up higher than we expected, that could put in another round of panic selling. I do feel that, those sort of 2,200, that's been put in. I don't see the market going much lower than that, but I think we could still be in for a bit of a bumpy ride over the next 3 months.
Jeff, I got to say, I don't see how any surprise to the downside could be a surprise. In other words, I'm expecting companies to say we made no money, we don't have any visibility, and it's an unmitigated disaster. And so I'm just now that being said, we do see stocks down today on news, right? Burlington, they're down on furloughing employees. The cruise lines are down, as the CDC says, extension of no sell orders. So the idea that all the bad news is built in certainly isn't true, but it feels like it's hard to get a negative surprise from this earnings season.
Yeah, Charles, on your show, actually, in mid-January, we said that our models had flashed a sell signal. Didn't expect the decline to be as steep or as deep as it was, but I think it ended on March 23rd, and we started putting back some of the cash we raised in January. So I agree with Goldman Sachs. I think the lows are in. I think valuations, given where interest rates are, while they are above trend, I still think that you could get a 21, 22 multiple on this year's earnings.
All right, let's hold here for 1 second, folks. I want to go to this press conference with Governor Andrew Cuomo. Let's take a listen.
State of New Jersey, we have Governor Ned Lamont from the great state of Connecticut, Governor Tom Wolf from the great state of Pennsylvania, Governor John Carney from the great state of Delaware, and Governor Gina Raimondo from the great state of Rhode Island. I want to thank them for their professionalism and the way they've been handling this situation respectively. I also want to thank them on behalf of the state of New York for their good work in working with us through this very difficult time. Their mutuality and partnership and cooperation has been of great benefit to the state, so I want to thank them for that. I'm going to make some opening comments and turn it over to Governor Murphy first, and then we'll hear from the other governors. I think most states, operator, we're ready. Started hearing music. Okay, thank you, governors. I just said I thank you all very much for your professionalism and your cooperation and everything you've done that has benefited the alliance with the state of New York. And I also want to thank you and congratulate you on what you've done for your states. It's truly been outstanding, and it's my honor to be a colleague to you. We've been talking today about the fact that New York believes we have reached a plateau in the increase of number of cases. They're not going down, but they're not going up at the same rate. And we believe it's a quote-unquote plateau, and that is relatively good news in a world of bad options. And we should start looking forward to reopening, quote unquote, but reopening with a plan and a smart plan, because if you do it wrong, it can backfire. And we've seen that in other places on the globe. So everyone is very anxious to get out of the house, get back to work, get the economy moving. Everyone agrees with that. What the art form is going to be here is doing that smartly and doing that productively and doing that in a coordinated way, doing that in coordination with the other states that are in the area, and doing it as a cooperative effort where we learn from each other and we share information and we share resources and we share intelligence. No one has done this before. No one on this telephone has done it before. No other state has done it before. So it's one step forward after research and consultation with experts. I'm not a public health expert, but this has to be informed by experts and by data. You take one step forward, you see how it works, and then you measure the next step. And to the extent we can do that together, that is the best course. There's no doubt about that. I don't believe we wind up with a fully common strategy. You have different states in different positions. Within this state, you have different areas with different circumstances. And the plan has to fit the facts and the circumstances. It's one situation in New York City. It's a different situation in rural counties, different situation in suburban counties. So how do you address those different set of facts? And I want to make sure all the people we represent make sure that we are smart in the way we are doing this. Yes, we've never been here before, but that doesn't mean you can't ensure public confidence that you're doing everything you can to do it in a smart way, an informed way, guided by experts and data and science, and not in a political way. And I think working together, we can do that. Each state is going to name a public health official for that state, an economic development official for that state. Those officials and the chief of staff of the governor of each state will then form a working group that will start work immediately on designing a reopening plan, taking into consideration the public health concerns and issues and the economic reactivation issues and concerns. Study the data, study the research, study the experience of other countries, and give us guidelines and parameters to go forward. Again, we anticipate different facts, different circumstances for different states, different parts of states, but let's be smart and let's be cooperative and let's learn from one another. And that is inarguable. With that, let me turn it over to Governor Phil Murphy. Governor Murphy, thank you so much for being with us.
Governor Cuomo, thank you for hosting us so graciously. And in the category of you're known by the company you keep, I'm honored to be with you and Governor Lamont, Governor Wolf, Governor Carney, Governor Raimondo in this discussion and in this initiative. You know, just as we harmonized as states, you know, we're New Jersey approach, and we're honored to be very much a part of this group. We do know this, that an economic recovery only occurs on the back of a complete healthcare recovery, and that order is essential. And getting that wrong, transposing those steps or jumping in too early or maybe jumping in by ourselves. Governor Cuomo and I have talked about if the protocols on one side of the Hudson for a restaurant or a bar are different than the other, or similarly across the Delaware, you could have inadvertent unintended consequences, which could be grave. So getting this right, both the timing, the infrastructure from as well as input, as Governor Cuomo has said, from both healthcare experts as well as economic development experts, in addition to our government colleagues, seems to me and to us to be an incredibly smart way to go. This is the fight of our lives. Let there be no doubt about it. And we're not out of the woods yet. And reopening ourselves back up will be equally challenging beyond the shadow of a doubt. So I'm honored to be with my fellow governors, as I have been every step of the way over the past several months, and look forward to that spirit and coordination going forward. Thanks, Governor Cuomo.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor Murphy. And you're right. We started this journey together. We're going to end it together on a positive note. Same with Governor Ned Lamont from the state of Connecticut. Governor Lamont, thank you very much. Thank you for being with us.
Andrew, thanks for getting us organized and everybody here. I'll just pick up where Phil left off. He mentioned the major transportation corridors that interconnect at least New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut as part of a tri-state workforce. And we all slowly closed down methodically parts of our economy in a way that we tried to mitigate the effects of the contagion. And we're going to be thoughtful about how we get this opened as well. But, Governor Cuomo, as you know, all of our pandemic here in Connecticut is all along that I-95 Metro North corridor, where we have hundreds of thousands of people going back and forth between New York and Connecticut. It's the commuter corridor for us, but it's also the COVID corridor, which is why it's so important that we work together thoughtfully on this. Listen to the experts, as you say, and make sure you don't pull the trigger too early. I'm looking over at Japan and Hong Kong and Singapore, and those places are unfortunately seeing a small resurgence, the second half of the V coming back again. And that would be so demoralizing for our economy. That's why what we do, I want to do on a coordinated basis, have a database that we share, establish the same protocols so we know how we're working together, and get that information up to or down to Washington so they can coordinate as well. I mean, we're going to be thinking about the mix of PCR antigens and probably the low infection areas in terms of testing, and probably the antibody testing in those areas where it's more prevalent, so we can put together a system that allows our people to get back to work. And I couldn't agree with each and every one of you that working together makes the most sense, listening to the experts, doing this methodically, but doing it now. Back to you, Governor Cuomo.
Amen. Thank you very much, Governor Lamont. Thank you. Governor Tom Wolf from Pennsylvania. Tom, good to be with you again.
Good to be with you too, Governor Cuomo. Thank you for doing this, and thank you to my fellow governors for making this effort possible. We all know that we can do anything better when we work together in this region, and we have done good things by working together. We've shared ideas and plans, and we've shared in going through this challenge. And this partnership, this council that we're forming here recognizes that simple fact. And I agree with the sentiments of my partners that we need to do this right, and that's what we're trying to do. But this partnership recognizes something else that I think is really important. It recognizes that we need to come up with a specific and a smart plan for this uncertain future that lies ahead. But it is also that we are creating a plan to let our people, the people that we serve, the citizens of our states, that we indeed do have a future. And this is as important as coming up with the specific elements of this plan. It has to be responsible, but it has to show us that we do have a future. As we figure out how we're going to reopen our schools, how we reopen our businesses and our homes, we're also going to recognize that we're trying to figure out how we're going to restore the sense of hope that this pandemic has taken away from so many of us. And I'm proud of the people who are going to be working on this for Pennsylvania, the Secretary of Health, the Secretary of the Department of Community and Economic Development, and my Chief of Staff. We're all going to do a great job for the people we serve, and I think we're going to show the people of the United States how you come out of something as devastating as this in a responsible fashion. Governor Cuomo, thank you again for doing this, and back to you.
Thank you, Governor Wolf. Thank you very much. I couldn't agree more with what my colleagues are saying, and Governor Wolf's point. We talk about the economic toll, which you can quantify. You can't quantify the emotional toll this is taking on people. And I think Governor Wolf is exactly right. Knowing that there's another day, a new day coming, may be different than past days, but it can be a bright day. And that is true, and we have to focus on that. Governor Carney, very good to be with you, John. Thank you very much for taking the time and all the help and all the coordination. Governor Carney?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Yes, we can, John.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
We can.
Well, sorry for that little glitch. I want to thank my colleagues for this cooperative effort, especially you, Governor Cuomo.
for bringing us together, and frankly for your leadership on a day-to-day basis under very difficult circumstances there in Metro New York City and your state. Provide great leadership there and across the country, and we certainly appreciate that. Certainly, thanks for including Delaware. We are on the southern end of this region, but we're connected importantly by the I-95 corridor and Amtrak Northeast region, and so in a very important way, we're part of the region. It's only a small part. We have seen the connections among our state through this, as many of the folks who work in our state live in Governor Wolf's state or across the river in New Jersey, and they've obviously had to balance the various provisions and restrictions in each of our states. So this will help us as we think through what it takes to re-enter and to get our economies moving again. Frankly, it'll really just formalize for me what I've already been doing along with Governors Murphy and Wolf in our Metro Philadelphia area, as we talk on a number of occasions about decisions that we've had to make in terms of shutting down businesses, in terms of business and supply chains that are connected among our states. This will formalize that and really put before us all the decisions that we have coming ahead of us, and I think maybe even more difficult than decisions on the front end of this over the last month and a half, 2 months, as we get on the other side of the peak, which it seems like the greater New York City area is reaching now. How do we open things in a way that's safe? I heard Governor Murphy say yesterday that we need to get the patient healthy before we can get the economy healthy, and I think he's exactly right in that. And so working together, our economies are connected, our states are connected in a real way in terms of transportation and visitation and the rest. And so our working together, sharing our information and intelligence, I think will help each of us make better decisions. So I want to thank all of you for your leadership. This is a time we're experiencing uncharted waters here, and I think ahead of us will be more uncharted waters. But working together, we will do a better job for the people that we work for, and we'll make smart decisions in reopening our economy. We're a little bit different down here, a little bit behind, I think. Those of you in northern New Jersey and New York City, our message here at home still is be safe, stay at home. When you go out, observe appropriate social distancing, and we will continue with that message. But at the same time, think about the timing of reentry and getting life back to normal again if that ever occurs. So again, Governor Cuomo, thank you so much for including the first state here in the southern end of this region. We appreciate your leadership there in the great state of New York and your leadership with this collaborative task force. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Governor Carney, and you're so right. We're all learning, right? This is new for all of us, and it throws out a lot of the old rules and the old ways of doing business. And the state boundaries mean very little to this virus. And somebody can get on Amtrak, or somebody can get in a car and go up the I-95 corridor. And it doesn't matter if they're from Delaware or New Jersey or Connecticut or New York or what state they're from, it can have the same consequence. So we're learning and we're growing every day. Thank you, John. And Governor Gina Raimondo from the state of Rhode Island. Governor Raimondo, thank you very much for taking the time to be with us. Thank you for working through all these issues with us on behalf of New York.
That this has been imprinted on every American's mind. This may continue that, yeah, we're going to open up businesses, but let's keep our 6 feet apart. We might see people wearing masks more and more. We're going to see more hand washing. So it has left an impression, and hopefully for the better in terms of how we manage any type of a contagious illness.
All right, Dr. Nina Ratcliffe, always appreciate it. Thank you very much. Folks, I've got a Fox Business News alert for you. Bernie Sanders is officially endorsing Joe Biden for president. Just did it moments ago. The former 2020 Democratic candidate and Vermont senator saying, quote, "We must come together to defeat the most dangerous president in modern history. During the live stream, just the two men. Now, last week, Bernie Sanders ended his presidential bid, and this week he is on the Biden bandwagon. Well, the first batch of coronavirus relief checks are starting to be deposited, but many of you still have a lot of questions on how to navigate through this most difficult financial challenge ever. Coming up, we've got more answers for you, along with Gene Marks and the administration. You're not going to be happy with all
technologies and our day-to-day interactions, doing a deep dive industry by industry on new guidelines for this new normal. And I'm looking forward to this initiative. I'm looking forward to being a part of the working group and exchanging ideas. Like you have said, none of us has ever gone through this before, and I am confident that by working together and sharing our best ideas, we will be much, much more likely to get it right for the citizens of our state and this region. I will say, throughout the crisis, the governors are the ones who've been showing great leadership.